first
I
place.
want to talk about that idea, though, of like allowing for space to fail. Hey, everybody. Chris here.
I'm Linda.
And where's Agatha?
She's right there.
There she is. Hey, welcome to Second Act Entrepreneur. We are going to talk about something that honestly, I don't even know if we've completely, well, it's certainly not perfected, but I do think this is how we process things, okay? So we wanted to include you into kind of the way that Chris and Linda processes and works through ideas and motivates stuff like that. So, I saw a video the other day with Mel Robbins, and many of you might know Mel Robbins.
Yeah. That commercial, we love her, right? I mean, I think
I
that
think she's great.
She is great, and I think her stuff, especially her Let Them book,
was
been
remarkable. Yeah,
it's been very influential in a lot of people that I work with individually that I have seen people with even that tattooed on them. So, like, that's amazing. Isn't it amazing? Wouldn't that be a great thing to one day have something so well received that people are tattooing it on their body?
Yeah,
you
right?
know. So
yeah.
But anyway, so we're fans of her. We think she has some good content. So.
I mean, we could talk about the let them theory that she really unpacked and published on and has spoken about for quite a while. But I just want to talk about something that happened in an interview that she had with, I believe his name is Seth Godin. Now, I've never read anything by him. I think he does a lot of business books, nor had I heard him speak before. I'm not even sure why I clicked that particular video. And it's not even the full interview, so I might actually be hijacking and not doing the interview justice. So you're like, well, why are you going to talk about? Because something happened and it really motivated me, and I've written on it for the Substack account a little bit, and I've been thinking about this, and this is kind of how things work for me. You might take maybe one little idea and sentence, something that we didn't even intend from any of our videos, and we're like, let's go. That's cool. That's what we want. We want you to be motivated and encouraged. Maybe some small thing that was said, and now you're off and running in a direction that we couldn't have imagined. And that happened to me the other day. And basically, the simple kind of phrasing was that he said that when, for example, you post that video and nobody responds, or you get the influencer, outfit all perfected and nobody seems to be influenced, or you've
written the perfect novel and you've submitted it to all these publishers, right, and no one's taken up on it, right?
You invest in a business and nobody comes through the door, and then you're almost like, see, I knew that was going to happen, and see, I'm not that good, or I shouldn't have taken that risk. And what it is he called it and talked about it as you kind of create these places to hide, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've been thinking about that because I thought, is it possible that even subconsciously that we start to try to prepare ourselves for failure? Yes. Are we trying and conditioning ourselves to be okay with failure to the point that we create a paved way for failure to come to fruition?
Right. It's like, though they call it almost like a self-fulfilled prophecy.
Yeah.
Right. That but it's, I like his verbiage of saying that it's a hiding place, because hiding makes you feel safe. And so is this negativity, this expectation of failure, does it make us feel safe? Right? And none of us, we don't want to be hidden. You haven't opened a store in order to be hidden. Person hasn't written a novel in order to be hidden. They want to be seen. They want their stuff out there. But the fear of failure, by speaking to that, by verbalizing that, they put themselves in this hiding place that makes them feel secure. Okay, I'm okay because I'm going to fail anyway, right? I'm expecting to fail, so it makes me feel good at failure. And I'm gonna let you keep talking, but I'm experiencing this now. I have a talk that I'm giving in a couple weeks, and I've done many talks, but for some reason this one is in my head, and I can't let it go. And it's this constant voice of, you're going to fail, people are not going to like it, you're going to stutter, all of those things that if you've done any kind of public speaking, you understand all those kind of that negative voice that goes in the head. And when you talk about this place to hide, it makes me, that resonates with me, because I'm like, am I hiding in this prediction of failure to protect myself, so that when I do fail, see, I knew it. I knew I was going to fail, right? I knew I was going to fail, so I'm not shocked and I'm not surprised, and so it's comfortable to be in this hidden space. So I don't know. Do you use that?
Well, there's a lot to this for me. This is probably why we're talking about it and really processing it even now as we go. So I think in the video, what he does is, like, one of the kind of outcomes is he'll say, if let's say you want to be a writer, but you're afraid to write because you're probably going to fail and people, are going to be judging you because you're writing about something that maybe is a little out of your norm, out of your wheelhouse. And so, who are you to say that? And so he says, basically, come up with a pseudonym, like create content, but who cares what anybody thinks, and if it helps you, like, make up a different name. And then he says, by the time you do, I think it was something like 100 of these articles or whatever, you're going to want to put your name on it. And the simple idea was, whatever that thing is that keeps you from moving forward and all of the reasons that you think you're just going to fail, whatever that is, like, try to hijack that, bypass that, and just do it, because eventually you're going to see the success and the outcome that you wanted, but it's not necessarily coming right away. That's super Gary Vee as well, which is basically the more you do content, the better, right? The more content you put out, the better. And who cares if only 2 people, 20 people, 100 people like it? It doesn't matter. Keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And then at some point you're going to see success.
I mean, I know we're not alone in this, but
Yeah.
This has been a repeated pattern for us, probably all of our public life. We've been doing ministry for over 30 years, and then with the onslaught of social media and trying to figure all of that, that there are some people out there who just hit it just right and become these super famous people. But we struggle so much, and as many of you probably do, that you think, I have good content I want to share, I have good products that I want to share, I have a good business that is worth people using, but why isn't anybody doing this? Why am I not getting this success? And so I think we all struggle with these fear of failure, or this recognition of us not getting what we want to the level that we want. And I think we've seen it in our life, stopping just short of that success, right? That, okay, well, like, I spent, I don't know, years building a social media brand of sorts, and by the end, when I finally shut it down, I was like at 1,800 followers, and I was like, ugh. But
How long was that you did it?
Years. I mean, 4 years. Yeah. But the thing is that, I think we talked about in another podcast, was it a hobby or was it a business? Was I treating it like a hobby, or was I treating it like a business? I wasn't treating it like a business, And so I think for us, we teeter on this, I don't want to put myself out there too much, because is that pride? Is that ego? So I don't want to sell myself too much. So I'm going to sit back here and expect things to happen for me. But then when it doesn't happen for me, I get frustrated. And then it's that self-fulfilled prophecy. See, I knew it wasn't going to work in the first place.
I want to talk about that idea, though, of, like, allowing for space to fail. And I'm just going to give you a real example of this. So the other day, I wrote an article because nobody was in the store, right? So I wrote an article for Substack, which, by the way, I have 25 people who follow me on Substack. That's it. And you're welcome.
That's something, right?
Of course it's something. Yeah, I'm not upset about it. Although, there's a part of me that's like, there should. I'm putting all this work in, 2 articles a week. Like, maybe more than just my dad and my sister reading the articles, and Matthew's very faithful. He reads all of my stuff. Long story short, I think there's this kind of idea, like, of, is there something I'm doing where I'm creating space for failure? So I'm writing the article. It's a super slow day. The frustration was the preceding day, 0 sales. Nobody came in the store at all. And, whatever that, you could say and argue, well, that day is traditionally slow. But I mean, like, you want to bring in at least 1 sale a day, not even an online sale. So I was really disheartened. You know, I'm pouring myself into this business and I'm working it. I'm not getting, of course, I'm not even getting paid. So I'm putting all these hours in, and, you know, it was a little low point for me. And I think to myself, it's like, this town doesn't even care. Like, they say they want a bookstore and there's nobody here. And, you know, I get grumpy for all the reasons that I'm sure everybody has gotten grumpy. And I'm feeling down, and I'm like, it's just like, I stink at business. I'm horrible at business. Why did I do this? You know, and you have all of these, it's just like, you know, you're cracking the whip on yourself. And finished the article, got it all corrected, up online, ready to go. It's scheduled. And I thought, well, at least today I wrote an article. Well, then somebody came in, miracle, and they bought something. I was like, well, at least it's not as bad as it was the day before. But then a little bit later, somebody else came in. Then a little bit later, somebody came in, and she came up to the counter with an arm filled with books. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's probably, you know, going to be upset. She probably doesn't even see how much these cost. So she's going to be upset. And then I'm going to end up having to try to give her, you know, another deal. And then I feel guilty because she's going to buy all those. If she is buying all those, that's a lot of money. I should probably give her a discount. I'm like, what are you doing? So I tallied up. It's $100-something bucks. Basically, it's, you know, Tuesday for me at Barnes & Noble. And so you know, I don't give her a discount because I've already discounted the books like crazy because it's a used bookstore. And guess what? She paid. She paid it. She didn't care. She wasn't upset. She saw the price. I'm the only one who's freaking out here. I'm bemoaning the fact that I have this store, nobody's here, but then people come here and I'm like, I'm not sure if I should have charged what I labor and spend so much time making sure that I'm charging under Amazon, under eBay, extremely fair. Like, you can see the neurotic tendency. And guess what I had to do? Write another article. Like how fast things can change.
Right. Well, I'm sitting here listening. You know, we've been married for over 35 years. I know your brain.
Yes.
And that negative route that it takes. But I know you're not alone on that. I've experienced that. Several people have experienced that. But it's that snowball effect of one negative thought leads to another negative thought, and before you know it, you're just kind of in the depths of despair, right? And then something positive comes along, and you still, because you're already in that negative mindset, here's something positive, and you immediately put a negative frame on it, right? So I don't know. I think that goes along with this self-fulfilling prophecy, this idea of putting yourself in a box where you're comfortable, right? That it's this expectation of negative, this expectation of failure, you know. And I think you wanted to speak, though, on it is to become comfortable with failure, to be comfortable with, this is okay. This is the long game. We're not going to look at this. Let's not look at today's sale. Let's look at the whole month's sale. Right. You know, and,
I mean, you know, I wrote an article that basically really addresses the idea that I have 30 days to pay the bills. 30, it's not one day. So you can have a failure. I mean, at the end of the day, I made more money on that particular day than I had in a long time. So, like, the secret sauce, so to speak, is that the doors are open. We're there when we say we're going to be there, and there are the good days and the difficult days, and then somehow it meshes out to an average that works. And I should know that because I've been in the business now for over a year, and I have a little bit of a track and understanding of how the cadence of things works. But it's still that wrestling with what is almost like a self-sabotaging subconscious that's like, let's prepare you for failure. But see, this is the real struggle because Linda just mentioned it. We do have a phrase in our family, which is you're free to fail. So we don't want to fail. But if something's going to prevent you from taking a step and trying it, then recognize it's okay to fail. It's better to do it than not to do it. So you juxtapose that with, after you're doing something for a while, do we have the tendency to try to self-sabotage or create a space to hide in? Like, see, I knew I was going to fail. And I do think that there's both, and it's a little bit of a tightrope. You're walking, and you know, if I fail, that's not the end of the world, but it's going to hurt because I don't want to fail, right? But then on the other hand, look, I didn't fail. I'm saying I'm failing, but I didn't fail. It's just a particular day in a particular month, which it's going to make up for it later. Why? Because we know and we can see based on the history, this is what happens.
Right. I think this is like, this is the reality of business, but really it's the reality of life in general. That balance of, I'm going to try something. I want to try something. I want to risk it. But then there's this fear of, what if I fail? In all these feelings, all this mind game, this is the reality. And I think that's why it's so important to share this here for others to see, so that they maybe, hopefully you will feel like you are not alone on this, that we all have these mind games of battling. I want to do this. I'm afraid of failing at this. I'm going to risk it, but then I don't want to risk it. Right. So we have this double mind, and so really success is one side. I think success or failure is one side winning out over the other. So which side's going to win out? I'm going to risk it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to step out of my fears and go into this direction, or am I going to stay in the box? I'm going to stay comfortable. I'm going to stay hidden. That's.
I think that right now there are two different things at work here that are very interesting. The first is the initial stepping out and trying something that maybe you're apprehensive and concerned about, which I do think that's part of maybe what Seth Godin was kind of referring to, is the idea that you create a hidden space so that you could fail there, right? Or you could say, see, I knew it wasn't going to work, right? So you don't feel like you're as hurt because you create this place to bounce. Mm-hmm. But and his encouragement is like, well, whatever it takes for you to actually move forward and do it consistently, that's what you got to figure out how to do. Okay, so now we're talking about also, we're doing something consistent over a year with the store, and then you have these momentums, this up and down, and like it's a good day, it's a bad day. And you still have this subtle kind of propensity to say, look, I knew it wasn't going to work, or look, like nobody's coming in, or I want to blame someone, or I'm blaming myself. I shoulda, coulda, woulda. And in that, you have to step back and look at perspective. But in both cases, whether it's starting up or midway or years into it, you have to be willing to say, if I fail, I fail. That's okay. And the truth is, I'll learn from that. The other thing is that success cannot just be financial. And that's the big thing for me. And that's what the question in my mind was the other day. Okay, but you wrote an article, you got everything ready, and then you wrote another article, and so then you processed and inventoried all the books. You did all the things you needed to do. Is it really a failure because that particular day nobody bought something? And why is the mind so quick to go to it's all lost, it's all a failure, it's for nothing?
Because is there value in you writing, right? Even if nobody ever reads it, is there value in writing?
Yes,
right.
And there is.
But, at least that's a risk that doesn't have a financial possibility.
Yep, and look at that. A customer. Okay, so simply put, the way that we're going to land the plane here is that I think it's normal if you've struggled with, imposter syndrome. I think it's normal if you've struggled with, I don't know if this is going to make it. What if we fail? Those are all normal. I do think, though, the question is, what are you going to do with it? And for us, it is a little bit about perspective, and I think it's a little bit about knowing each other and knowing kind of what it is that we're passionate and wanting to do. And with that, I do think it lends strength otherwise in a scenario in which you might be, willing to give up. What I mean is knowing that, it's not just me, it's not just my business, and it's not just my emotional frustration that day. It's us together. And when I have a good day, you might not have a good day. You have a a great day, I might have a bad day, and we work together.
But also for anybody out there dealing with these kind of thoughts, this fear of failing, this wanting to stay in a box kind of idea, how do we overcome? I mean, the one of the most important ways to overcome anxieties, to overcome fears, is to face them, is to do them. As soon as you give yourself the out and you say, oh, I'm not going to do that because I'm afraid, it's going to be harder to do it the next time that you want to do it. And eventually, when you get more and more comfortable with not doing that hard thing, then you will not be able to. So the way you counter anxiety is you push against it. You push back against that fear. You push back against that anxiety. And so for me, afraid to do a talk, I have to do the talk. Otherwise, I am hurting myself in the long run, and fear is going to settle in. If you're afraid to make that post or to write that article, what if happens? You have to push against it. You have to keep going, right? So you can't stay in the box and be comfortable. You got to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I do think though that that in some ways part of the fear wasn't, can I do it? Like, because I'm like, I am doing it. Or not that, is it good enough? I mean, it is good enough. This place is amazing. Are you kidding me? I've been to a lot of bookstores. This place is amazing. The question is, did I set it up? Have we done it in an area that is just not going to work? And
but the answer to that is okay. So we'll change that if we need to, right? That's the other thing for us is if this doesn't work, let's shift. We've done lots of shifting in our life, so we're going to shift again, right?
Yes. But the good news is that I in some ways, it's a mental game, and you can see that am I trying to create a place so that, look, I knew we were going to fail, so I was preparing myself. Because there's a show that we reference a lot that we watch. It's called Alone, and in the show, 10 people, they go into these very difficult scenarios. You have some of the creme de la creme of survival, and if whoever's the last person standing wins $500,000, and you would be amazed at how many people tap out within such a short period of time. Like, because partly they're super experts in the area of survival, but they're not experts in the area of being alone. And why I bring this up is because you can hear throughout the series, right before they often tap out, a phrase, which is like, I don't have to be here. It's like they're creating that hidden space that readies them to fail. And I think that for me, when it comes to the store, I think you have to talk about what is your definition of failure, because failure, if it's only financial, well, then that's how you're going to make your decisions. But if it's more than just financial, then you have a lot of things that you can hang your hat on and say that that's a successful day.
Right.
So.
Right. Landing the plane.
All right. Long story short, we don't have necessarily any perfect answer, except for there's a bit of tenacity in this and persistence. Like, we're doing it.
That's right.
And so today might be a bad day, but tomorrow might be an amazing day.
Right. And to bring back this whole idea again of the box, being comfortable. We got to be out of that box. We got to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And be okay with failing, and be okay with not doing things perfectly, I suppose, really, right? And not being popular, right? You gotta be okay with all of that. And so
that's good.
Yeah, get uncomfortable, right?
Well, thanks for watching, and for those of you that are interested, we've got all the social media platforms for the Letter and Leaf, and the Letter and Leaf Herbal, and of course Substack, where you can check out some of the articles where I unpack a lot of these ideas a lot more thoroughly. But I will tell you that we appreciate you. Spread the video, share it with your friends, and offer us some of your thoughts. What do you want to hear about? And maybe what is it that you've noticed that you've utilized or tapped into to help protect you and keep you from giving in to those feelings of despair and failure?
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Au revoir.